Hey YouTube, this is Miss Metamorphosis, aka the Fearless Freshman, coming to you with a video today about textbooks. Alright, so you've settled into your dorm, you got your syllabus, you know your classes and everything. So now you're sitting in class and you guys are going over your syllabus. And if you saw my syllabus video already about how to understand the syllabus and what it all means, I told you one of the first things your syllabus is going to show is your required textbook, okay? So while you're in class that first or second day, one of the things you want to ask your professor is, first of all, when do I need, like how soon do I need my textbook? Because that can really dictate how much time you have to actually get it and how you can, whether or not you can get the cheapest one you can possibly find. All right, so if they need it right away, you might actually have to go to the bookstore. If not, if you don't want to go to the bookstore, you might be able to go online and get overnight shipping, but I wouldn't chance it dealing with the mail. But anyways, if that's the case, then you gotta hurry up and get it. If not, if you can wait a few days to get it, if they don't need it right the very next day, well then you might want to go look elsewhere. So, but the first thing is, make sure you ask your professor, how soon do I need it? The second question you might want to ask is, what edition? And by what I mean by that is, okay, so this is the textbook that it was actually assigned to this particular course. I didn't choose this textbook. I'm not endorsing it. It's decent, but this is just a textbook that I used one semester when I was teaching an American, couple semesters I taught this course. And if you look, it says Moving On, the American People Since 1945, and you notice it says 4th edition. And so what I mean by asking the professor what edition is that you might want to ask them, like on their syllabus, it'll say such and such textbook 5th edition. That's the most recent one, I'm guessing. And so if you want, you might want to ask them, hey, is it okay if I get the 4th edition or the 3rd edition? And what I mean by that is an older version of the same book, okay? Because a lot of times these different editions, they're almost identical. The cover may be different. There may be a few pages that are off, but for the most part, the material is going to be pretty much the same. So it's a good idea to ask that. Some professors are pretty cool and pretty chill about it. They'll say, yeah, whatever, you know, as long as it's the same author, same, you know, same book overall. But if you want to get an earlier edition, that's cool. Some will actually put it in their syllabus, or some will just bring it up in class. And if you can, by all means, get the cheaper edition, get the older edition. Like this says 4th edition. So a student might ask me, hey, is it okay if I get the 3rd? And I'm like, fine, that's no problem with me. And so it'll be, usually they will be significantly cheaper. Okay, like for example, this is a class that I took, like an ESOL class. I recently bought this book within the last year. And so this book, it says 3rd edition. I don't know if you can see that there, down right above the picture. It says 3rd edition. Now the book that we were required to get was the 4th, according to the syllabus. It said required text was the 4th edition. I found the 3rd on Amazon. Now the 4th edition, the most recent one, was like it was like $60 something, almost $70. I got this. I found the older version, 14. So huge difference. Okay, especially if you have to buy multiple textbooks, definitely see if it's okay if you can get older versions. And again, like the pages are just slightly off, you know, like a page or two, and some aren't even off at all. All right. Anyways, so I said ask to see how soon you can get it. Also check to see if you can get an older version of it. All right. So once you've done that, let's see. So places you might look. Naturally, you have your campus bookstore. That might be one of the first places you want to look, just to kind of get an idea of how much they're going to charge you for it. And typically when you go, now some bookstores, my freshman year when I was at Ohio State, like you could go and get the books at your leisure. Like you can go to the shelves and get the book you needed, but you had to like lock your book bags away in these lockers, which understandably, you know, with so many people in there is to prevent, you know, theft. But anyways, typically a campus bookstore, you'll have, you know, of course, bookshelves in this room. And there'll be people there to help you find whatever you need. If you don't know what class it is, or if you don't know what you're doing, there's usually somebody to help you, like a student or whoever there that's working to help you. But anyways, on the shelves, there'll usually be labels. And the labels will have the abbreviations of that class. Like I showed you my syllabus in that other video. Well, I taught American history, and the abbreviation for it at that particular school was AMH. And so if you say, okay, I have an AMH 1101 class, well, they'll show you where the AMH section is, or they'll show you where the EDU for education, or whatever, or CHE for chemistry, or whatever. They'll show you where those areas are, but the shelves will usually be labeled. Okay, so you can find them yourself if someone's not able to help you at the time. So it's good just to go and check and see how much they are, because what if you can't find it online? Which is a very slim chance, but if you can't find it online, your last resort is to go ahead and go to the bookstore and get them. So you can kind of price them in your mind. Also, when you go and you find the books that you need on the shelves, they will usually on that label, in addition to the title, the author, and the edition and all that, it will say used with a price and new with a price. So if you buy a brand new, well, this isn't brand new, but it was almost new. This looks relatively new, but if this were a brand new book, it might say $75 or something like that on the label. But then next to it, it might say used $50 on the label, So, and it'll be a significant difference in the price. Get what you prefer. Some people like the idea of having new books. I don't know why, but the used ones, if they're not falling apart, and they're not going to have books that like the covers are missing or anything like that, they're going to be gently used. So if you don't really care whether it's new or not, get the used one and save you some money. All right. So also something I've noticed too, since I had to take this class and a few other courses in the past 2 years, I also noticed that some schools are starting to now allow you to rent books, so you don't even have to buy them at all. Where, let me backtrack first. When you buy textbooks, some schools do allow you to sell them back at the end of the quarter or the end of the semester. And they'll usually give you like a week or so of a window where you can sell them back to the bookstore so they don't have to order more. Just understand that when you sell them back, you're not going to get them for the same price that you bought them. So if you bought a book for $50, you might get $25 to $30 back, but don't expect to get more than that. Okay? But as I was saying, a lot of universities and colleges are now allowing you to rent textbooks, where you check them out, you sign them out, and they'll usually like scan your ID or something. You sign them out, and they will give you a date, usually like a receipt, and it'll have the date that it has to be back in. Now, if you don't have it back in on time, there can be additional charges, or they may charge you for the entire textbook. So just make sure you keep that in mind. That was a really helpful thing that I found out just in the last year and a half, that a lot of schools are starting to do that as well. All right, so then there's other websites like textbooks.com. I haven't really used them. Textbooks.com, Barnes & Noble, of course. I think there's one like Textbook Rental or something like that. I've never used those. My favorite, my go-to was Amazon. Amazon and eBay. eBay is pretty good too. If you want to sit there and bid on it, whatever, but I don't have that kind of time, so I'll just go ahead and buy it. But I've gotten most of my books from Amazon, and I have gotten books dirt cheap. There have been some textbooks that I've gotten for like $2. Like the shipping was more than the actual book itself. So yeah, it's really helpful. I've actually gotten books cheaper than that. For when I was in graduate school, I got my master's in history, and so we were reading like these small, we were reading academic research. Like I had a book called Democracy in America, or Economic Interpretation of the Constitution, like little books like that. They might be like 200-300 pages, but $15 here, $20 there, that adds up very quickly. But I was able to get some of these books for like $1, $2, sometimes 50 cents. Again, where the shipping was more than the actual book itself. So definitely check out Amazon. No, I'm not endorsing Amazon, but I'm just saying, well, officially endorsing Amazon. But that's where I got all my textbooks for cheap. I didn't learn about that until maybe like halfway through college. If I had known about Amazon, I wasn't as computer savvy, back in 2003. So yeah, halfway through, I got pretty good at it, and I was getting all my books online. Let's see. Also, lastly, word of mouth. If you are looking for a textbook, go online, post on your Twitter, on your social media accounts, whatever, on your Facebook, Instagram, whatever. See if anybody has that specific book, and if they want to sell it, or if they want to let you borrow it, And that's how I would get rid of my books too. Certain books that they wouldn't buy back, I would sell them via social media and just meet up with people. I actually met a YouTuber that way. A girl that I love to follow. I've been following her for years, and for hair and beauty and things like that. And it so happened that I didn't even know that we were at the same school. Like I was there as a graduate student, she was undergrad. I bought the wrong textbook and I walked back into the building trying to sell it back. No, correction. I walked back the next day to the building, tried to sell it back, and they would not buy it from me for whatever reason. I'm like, it's still in the shrink wrap. Like, why are you not buying this? I have my receipt and everything. It was like a psychology book. It was a huge psychology book. It was like almost $100. It's like 95. It was 90 something dollars. They wouldn't buy it back, and I was so pissed. And so now I have this book that I don't need, and then I gotta go and buy the book that I do need. And I just saw like this whole line of people standing there trying to buy their textbooks, and I actually saw her in line with the same psychology book, and I looked at it and I'm like, wait a minute. And I walked up to her and I was like, hey, are you trying to buy this book? Because I couldn't sell it back. They won't buy it back from me. I'll sell it to you for a discount. And she's like, done. We went outside, she went to the ATM, and then like we just exchanged, had a nice little transaction right there. She got her books for cheap. I was able to sell it. So definitely word of mouth, ask people, text people, post on social media. Hey, does anybody need this book? Or does anybody have this book that I can borrow? Yeah, so that's basically textbooks in a nutshell. So again, ask questions with your professors the first day. Go to the bookstore just to see what the prices are looking like. Go online, Amazon, eBay, textbooks.com, Barnes & Noble, any of these places. And some sites, I will say, will have either a college or student discount, or they'll have special deals like maybe expedited shipping, or they'll waive shipping sometimes, certain times of the year. So that's something you want to look at too. And then also just word of mouth. So with that, hopefully you will be able to find your textbooks that you need. And with that, have a great day.